stopped. Back.
He's back.
He's back.
Things have been very busy with 2 young kids, but I'm back now on the anniversary of Wizards Unite's termination by the Ministry of Magic, aka Warner Brothers / Niantic. These are dark times. So I have decided to continue the Harry Potter and You series. I really want to explore my own imagination, and I kind of enjoyed having you guys involved in the decision making because it's quite fun to have to adapt to what you do. Now, there's probably a good number of you, possibly. I don't know how people are actually going to see this video because it's been so long, and YouTube is not exactly kind to people who don't regularly upload. But there's a chance that you haven't done the first 4 voting sessions, but you're not too late. Well, for the last one. In fact, it's never too late to join in. You can vote on the new website, zealmanplays.com. So what the heck is this? Right, we will get onto the reading in a minute. So a little reminder of how this works. Actually, if you want to skip this bit, just check the time method below to get to the story bit. Our story runs in parallel with the Philosopher's Stone. Now, there on each page of the dialogue, there is chapter markers to tell us where we are within the book. So if you want to kind of like get some information on what to influence your decision at the end of a chapter, it is based as much as possible as canon on canon stuff, but I have had to fill in a few bits here and there, the odd blank. But it's amazing how much detail is actually there when you dig into it. At the end of each chapter, you can vote for something. Some things seem innocent. I've got notes here, by the way, because I'm crap. Such as how you greet Professor McGonagall. But this choice will shape how Professor McGonagall views you as the character. Did you talk to her directly or call out to your parents? Does that mean you were brave? Were you kind of abrasive? And you are? Was an option. So those sort of things will shape Professor McGonagall's initial thoughts of who you are. You can change it, obviously, later as we interact with them more. During the next video, I'll try and go through some of the options that made a difference. For example, in the train carriages, who's in which carriage. But sometimes I can't do that because it has a knock-on effect later that we're not going to see. So a highlight of this, one of my favourites, was picking the shopping order for Diagon Alley. I mapped out Harry's path using the books of what shops he went into. And then you had a choice. And then if the two matched together, it wasn't the best voting system. I would have done it better this time, but anyway. Somehow you missed him on all occasions. So I had to kind of like fill that one in. But you could have bumped into Harry Potter, but you know, somewhere along the line. But like Madame Malkin's. Could have been interesting if you bumped him and Draco having an interaction. Could have been quite funny. But, alas, I didn't quite make that one. And things like you having eaten before you went resulted in you not going to the tea shop or the ice cream parlour because your tummy was already full. But hey, it was fun. It's quite fun doing these sort of things. So this time you get to pick the carriage on Hogwarts Express. This took a lot of research to try and work out how many carriages and compartments there would be to hold that many students. And I worked out how many students there were based upon Harry's year, which like 40-something students. Yeah, I know. There's a whole hoo-ha about Hogwarts supposed to be 1,000 students. I don't really believe that, even though JK did it. The math is wrong. I reckon it's probably about half that. So I took Harry's year as being the atypical. Otherwise, the train would have been freaking massive. So, yeah, I know, Hugh magically enhanced, blah, 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 blah. But having been on the train, on the studio set, I'm sticking with that one, that design. Chapter 5, Platform 9 3/4. Although the video might be off, and that's just because I'm crap. I haven't done this so long, I can't remember how it works. This occurs during Chapter 6, the journey from Platform 9 3/4. After that rather bizarre day, you head up to your room. You look among the piles of strange new books in front of you, thinking that you might just read a while before bed. The book Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander just seems to stand out to you. It is bright red with gold writing, and has fake claw marks on the cover. You wonder just what is out there that maybe you don't know about. You open the book on the first page. This book belongs to. This is a great time to try your new eagle feathered quill. You go into your desk, open the bottle of blue ink, and dip the quill in. At this point, you wonder why they don't use a fountain pen like at your old school. Perhaps wizards have a thing for tradition. You write your name in the book and realise a quill is quite a fun thing to write with. You start to read the book and wonder if Newt Scamander got into these fantastic beasts purely because his name was Newt. As you start to read about what classifies as a beast, you see werewolves, goblins, centaurs, trolls, and more being mentioned. You think to yourself, is this a fiction book? As you read, the need to sleep starts to take hold. Your mind starts to wander, thinking about magic bees and divination. Where have you heard about divination before? Oh yeah, Lavender Brown mentioned it. This whole magic thing seems very much like mythology. Was Odin, the god of divination, magic, death and wisdom? Huh. Odin would be a great name for my owl. You take one last look across the room as sleep starts to overcome you. Good night, Odin, you say, as your eyes close and you begin to dream of what may lay ahead. A few weeks later, and it's 31st of August, the evening before you head for the train to Hogwarts. You have packed your trunk with your initials on the front. You have packed everything on the list and included your Walkman so you can listen to some music when you fancy. Strangely, nothing electronic is included on the list, so perhaps you'll just keep it quiet. Your parents have put fuel in the car and they are excited and a little sad to let you go for so long on your own. You're starting to feel pretty nervous and excited again. Thoughts about making or not making friends. Maybe being lonely or missing home starts to creep in. You read a bit more of Fantastic Beasts again. You have read it 3 times already, but it seems to help. The following day you wake up pretty early, excited and a little scared about the day ahead. You hope that you can meet Lavender Brown on the train and not that Draco boy. At least you'll know someone. After breakfast, you and your parents pack your trunk into the car. You strap Odin's cage next to you in the back seat and you head for King's Cross. After parking the car, you head into the familiar station you have visited a number of times. You feel a bit odd though, especially with an owl in a cage. You take a look at your ticket and remember the words that Professor McGonagall said. Here's your train ticket to Hogwarts. King's Cross, platform 9 3/4, on the 1st of September. It's between platforms 9 and 10. You head to platforms 9 and 10, and all there is between them is a set of arches that run the length of the platform. You and your parents are stumped. Perhaps it's a bit like that entrance to Diagon Alley. Does your ticket say anything about tapping stones, says your dad. You read the ticket, and there is nothing on there about tapping stones. You look at the nearest wall and give it a shove. Nothing happens. You work your way down half the platform like this with no results. You start to wonder if you are really magic at all, and maybe the platform isn't visible to you. Your parents stand around thinking, and your mum leans heavily against the next arch wall while you look at the ticket again. You turn to ask your mum if she has any ideas when you realise she isn't there. Suddenly, her head pops out of the wall. Look, I found it, says your mum. The wall is fake. Walk through, you won't believe what's here. You and your dad look at each other, cast an eye around you, shrug, and run for the wall. You shut your eyes just before impact, but it never happens. You open them up again, just as your mum catches you. A huge scarlet steam engine is on the platform, surrounded by people, owls and cats. A sign overhead says Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. You look behind you to see a wrought iron archway where the wall had been, with the words platform 9 3/4 on it. You start to realise these wizarding folk really like to remain hidden. There was a boy with dreadlocks showing something in a box to a shrieking crowd of onlookers. Another boy running around chasing a toad. And you think you catch a glimpse of the boy who's with the giant man in Diagon Alley. Harry, you think his name was. Or maybe Harold. I think you need to get on, says your dad laughing, as you all stare in amazement at what is going on all around you. You stare at the crowd and you can't see Lavender, so you're just going to have to pick a carriage. Which carriage do you choose? You can use the text to help you with this. There are some clues as to what carriage Harry picks, roughly. Yeah, so have a go, see if you can work it out. Or you can try and work out where Draco is, or Hermione is, or etc, etc, etc. So now is your time to vote on zealmanplays.com. It will remain open until insert date. The 2nd of February. There are a fair few votes already, which is nice, because I didn't know easy to do this video because I was sick, amongst other things. So yes, please vote ahead, and I'll start writing in the meantime. I'm going to assume that you will see the results actually now, when you vote, which is quite cool. I hope to have these videos out every couple of weeks, so like the video, like a week of voting, and then I need a bit of writing time. So hopefully 2 weeks. That's the plan. As I get sick again, because I have 2 kids in nursery and school, and diseases everywhere. So a little bit, well, what happened to me over the last year, I think it is now. Yeah, it must be. Was it a year? I don't know. Ever since I stopped doing Hogwarts Legacy, couldn't be a year. Can't be that long. Anyway, so why the break in doing the Hogwarts Legacy story? Well, I finished the main story quest. And it was just kind of like the extra content stuff. And to be honest, it was a bit of classic burnout. Even though I'm not into this for profit, I was feeling a little disheartened at the drop in views and subscriber stagnation since Wizards Unite stopped. This resulted in me sort of developing kind of an attitude I wasn't really proud of. Sort of jealousy and panic and all this thing. And I wasn't even making money out of this thing. It doesn't make any difference. But for some reason, these sort of things kind of build up in you. I guess it's kind of because YouTube's kind of gamified kind of thing. It sort of encourages you to do your numbers. Although I know a fair amount about playing geolocation games, having played Ingress since it was under Google's wing, I got a free beer out of Google out of that one. That's quite nice. My knowledge of the wider gaming arena is kind of lacking. I'm not very good at finishing games, but in that way, I kind of felt I lost my niche. And I was watching other creators go different ways. Like a lot of some went to the horror genre, some went other ways, and I saw them pulling further and further ahead of me, and I kind of felt a little bit panicked towards my content. I couldn't put any more effort into it either because I've obviously got 2 kids. They're very young, so they take up all my time. Also, I think it's very important I spend time with my family as much as possible. I am a reserved Brit, and I think this style doesn't really appeal to American game developers that I was trying to build a relationship with for Hogwarts Legacy. Unless you're like super hyped up and bulging at the eyes, they don't think you're gonna. Well, I think they're not going to think you're gonna represent the game right. They want to build hype, you know. And I'm just an ordinary English man. He's quite reserved about things, and it's always kind of cagey towards things. Plus, they're all in the US, and although they're using a British IP, the logistics would not be worth my limited subscriber numbers, to get me into the US or whatever. And after all, they don't owe me anything. Well, anyway, that's the idea in my head. So here we are, looking to create something very different. I have no one to compete with on this one, so if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Will it become popular? Who knows? But I'm enjoying learning how to write creatively. So if anything, even if I just get like a few votes, enough to make the story drive, I'm just enjoying learning to create stuff, like learning to write. I used to have a really good imagination as a kid, and as I got older in school, kind of lost it. So I don't know, it's nice to use my brain again and just think magically. So anyway, until next time. I would say brush up on your spells, get your wands ready, wizard tonight, but no. Anyway, have a good week. Yeah.